welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be using one die to create 5 cards, so we'll be using it in 5 different ways to really stretch our products. So the die is this one, which is the Creative Camellia, and that is free with this month's Die Cutting Essentials magazine. And it's a die that cuts into the paper rather than cutting out of the paper, and it comes with this frame as well, so we'll use that on a couple of the cards. And then I've also printed, there's some downloadable papers with it, so you can print these at home, and they're just really pretty florals and patterns. So I think if you have a printer, then printed papers are really nice because you can just print the ones that you really like and you can use them over and over again, rather than having a pack where you don't like some of the papers and then you really love others and you haven't got enough of them. And then there's these couple of topper sheets as well, so we've got that one and we've got this one. So I think those are really pretty, and we'll use some of those on our cards as well. So this die set is perfect for quick cards because it cuts into the paper. So here I've got some of that pattern paper that I printed, and I've just cut the outline and I've cut the flower into the middle. And then because we've got pattern paper, I'm just going to colour over it with some gel pens, and it will kind of cover over the pattern paper, and then it will kind of make it look seamless because it's cut into the pattern paper, but you won't be able to tell that there's pattern paper behind the gel pen. So these are just the Jelly Roll Moonlight pen, and I've just got this bright pink and a turquoise that I'm going to use for the leaves. So there's that finished, and I'm just going to push up all of these partially die cut pieces because it will add some real dimension by lifting up these bits of the die cuts. And with the leaves you can even smooth them over with your fingers as well to kind of make them curl. So now all I'm going to do is to glue that onto a pink card blank. And I'm not really adding glue to the back of most of the flower or the leaves because I want those to pop up. And then I've just cut this from those toppers, so I'm going to pop that up on some foam pads at the bottom there. And then there's our card finished. So moving on to the next card, I'm going to create a circle card, and I've die cut this into a circle of watercolor cardstock, so I want to use my Karin markers to colour it. So I'm going to colour this in ocean teal in rose pink, and then I'm going to use the blender pen to add some variety to the colour. So I'm just going to add a bit of colour straight from my marker, and then I'm going to use the blender pen just to pull that colour out and get some paler colour towards the edges of the leaves and the flower. And to be honest, I can probably use some of that colour to colour this leaf as well. I don't need any extra colour, I've got plenty on here. And you can see it's really quick to colour in this way. So I'm just using a little bit of colour from the pen and then picking that up with my blender pen. And then I can just do this one with my blender pen. You see it gets rid of all that green then. And I can use the same blender pen for the pink. So I'm going to do this pink a bit strategically. I'm going to pick up some of this colour that I've put in the middle. So then I'm just doing the same with the pink. And I'm just going to put a bit of colour around the edges of the petals and then pull out the colour into the petals. So then there's that, and we've got a really nice watercolour style look to it with really simple techniques. So then I've used this really cool Scalloped and Pierced Circles set from Chloe's Creative Cards to create my card blank. So I've used a nesting circle die that's about 5 inches, and I'm going to score that at 4.5 inches. And I'm going to fold that over, And I'm going to glue that above the score line. And then I'm going to add on another circle the same size. I'm just making sure those scallops line up as I put it on as well. So then I've used the pierce circle that goes with that to cut a circle from purple cardstock. So I'm going to glue that on top. And then this piece that we coloured, I just cut with an ordinary circle from just a normal circle nesting die set. So then again, I'm just going to glue that around the outside. I'll just glue that little bit in the middle of the flower. And then I've just foiled a happy birthday sentiment. Obviously you could heat emboss one in gold to get a similar look, or just use any of your sentiments you've got on hand. But I really love this. It's from the mini everyday sentiments from Spellbinders. I'll link it below if it's still around, because it is a really lovely set. So let me just make sure this is going to be level. And I'll just pop that at the bottom there. That's really pretty. So then the other thing that I'm going to do, I normally do this on all of my circle cards, but I thought that this one might be okay because of the scallops, but I think it is still a bit rocky. So I'm just going to line this up parallel to this score line and just trim a little piece off the back of that card. And then I'll just make sure that when you stand it up it doesn't rock and roll, like it's really steady now. Okay, so then for my next card, I'm going to be creating a square card. So I've cut a 3.5 inch square of white cardstock, and then I've die cut the flower head into that. You're just getting a part of the die cut. And for this I'm going to use these detail blending brushes from Altenew, and I'm going to colour them with my Distress Oxide inks. So I'm going to start with Saltwater Taffy, and I'm just using them a bit like paint brushes, so I'm going to cover the flower with the Saltwater Taffy. And obviously these Distress Oxide inks are made for blending, so you get a really nice finish from them. If you follow my channel, you'll know I use them all the time, both for this kind of thing and for my backgrounds, for all sorts of things. So that's kind of my base colour done. And then I'm going to go in with the Kitsch Flamingo and just add in a little bit of depth. So I'm just going to add that to the base of the petals. And then we're going to do exactly the same with the leaves, but this time we're going to use the cracked pistachio, and we're also going to use the lucky clover. And then these inks really sit on top of each other, so if you've got any of the green onto the pink, you can just go back in with the pink and cover that back over. And then I'm going to bring in this box because I also want to give this a light spritz with the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide spray. So I just want a really light spritz, so I'm going to hold it fairly far away. And then you can see we've just got that nice little effect on it. So then I've got a 5 inch square card blank. I've got a 4 3/4 inch piece of this pattern paper that I printed from the downloads. Then this piece is 3 3/4 inches, and then I'm going to add on this. And then I've also got this Sending Birthday Wishes that I foiled from that same mini everyday sentiment set. So let's layer that up to finish my card. And actually, as I was putting that on, I decided I wanted this bit popped up, so I'm just going to add some foam pads on here. Doesn't matter that there's already glue on because it'll be underneath, so it's not a problem. So there's that card finished. So then for this next card, I'm making another 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card, but this time I want to make a horizontal card or landscape card. So what I've done is I've cut the border piece from paper, but then I've cut this in twice, so I've just got partial flowers on either side. I'm just bringing in my piece of paper, which is a bit scrabby now, but it's okay. And I'm just going to use my alcohol markers on this one. So I'm just using a whole heap of different mediums to colour these, just to get different looks, and because it's fun to use some different things. So I'm just doing a really quick method of colouring, because obviously we're doing some quick cards today. So I've added in some of the darker colour, which for this is the Coral Bliss, and then I'm just going over the whole thing with this pink pearl, so it's kind of smoothing out that Coral Bliss, and so that's just kind of being left behind as a bit of a shading. It's just a nice quick way to get a bit of dimension but not spend all day adding shading to your card. You can see even when I'm adding on this detail, I'm kind of just roughly going around the edges of the petals, but I'm not spending any time on it. I'm not kind of making it really, like, it's a really quick process. It looks dead messy like that, but then when we add on our lighter colour, it just kind of blends out and it looks really nice. So we've got this really nice blended piece. So then I've cut a piece of purple cardstock just to be slightly bigger than this. So that's 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 inches. So I'm going to glue this onto the purple piece. And then I'm going to add that onto my card blank. And then I'm going to add some foam pads behind this sentiment that I've just cut from the pack. And then there's that one done. And then for my final card, I've created a pink card blank from the largest of the Essential Arches dies from Spellbinders. It's a nesting arch set. Then I've used another arch to cut this piece of stripy paper that is from the downloads, and I've cut the flower into that. So then I've also cut the flower out of pink cardstock, and I've cut the flower out, and then I've also cut it from this teal cardstock. So then I'm going to show you how easy it is just to snip these pieces out. So I'm going to snip out all of the leaves from here. So I'm just joining up the lines basically. So you can see it's nearly out anyway. So you just have to snip the pieces so that it comes off. There's literally only 2 or 3 snips per leaf, and it's off. There's no kind of like fussy cutting to it, it's just releasing it out of the die. So then I'm just going to glue my arch onto my card blank, and then I'm going to glue these pieces that I've cut from the coloured cardstock over the top. So there we've got our pretty flower, and then I'm just going to add on this birthday sentiment from the paper pack. So I'm going to add some foam pads behind that. And then there's that final card finished. So there we've got all 5 of today's cards using that die in different ways. I'd love to know which is your favourite. Please do let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.